Righty-o then, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the PC-Centric Personal Rig 2026. This is exciting. This is inspired by something I built at the back end of last year, in this case, which is the Haven BF360. I absolutely love this. I wanted something that was kind of like black and white and just integrated and was far more about performance and essentially silent operation rather than like RGB bling. So that is what we're going to start today. This is going to be a series. This is not going to be a one and done. This is going to be high end. This is probably going to have a little bit of modification. This is going to have some hardline liquid cooling to it. And this is not going to be the easiest rig that I have built. I think it is time really that we kind of step things up. Obviously, I love helping you guys out with the rigs that we can kind of recreate quite easily from home, but this is something I want to put a little bit more love and attention in, and as I say, it's a personal rig. So why have we got a few boxes here, and why does this thing exist? Well, as I said, this was actually an Ultra 9 build that we did at the back end of last year. I actually loved what we had on offer here. It was Intel Core Ultra, which obviously isn't the best really in terms of value for money if you go for Ultra 9, but actually Ultra 7 and Ultra 5, if you're going for more the angle really of what I'd be using it for, which is gaming and productivity, it does actually make a fair amount of sense. But it doesn't to me, because I want something really that has a lot more longevity. I don't want this to be a rig that I have to swap out the motherboard and replace. I do want something that I can drop in a future CPU pretty easily. It would still mean obviously draining the liquid cooled loop, which is why the main change really that we're making with this is to swap it from the Z8, almost said, yeah, it's Z890. Don't know why I almost said Z870. Z890 platform away from Intel Core Ultra and obviously onto the AM5 platform. And the motherboard that we're going to use for this is this one. It is from REG. I've had this a while actually. I love the look and style of this, but fundamentally you still have all of the features that you kind of know and love really. I mean, say what you will about ASUS, they've made a lot of mistakes over the years. Pretty much every single rig that I've had with an ASUS board has been solid. You know, on a board by board basis, obviously you get some that are fantastic and some that really aren't. But generally speaking, REG have been very consistent, and I find that I do like using their motherboard. So this in combination with the style is why we're going for this. And then the choice of CPU, a lot of you guys are going to be very surprised by, but let me explain. So this is a Ryzen 9, it's a 16 core chip, and this is a 9950X, not the X3D. Now, if I was building this properly from scratch, I probably would go for the X3D for my personal use case, but obviously, as we have quite a few rigs, and realistically, I think it's better for me to have the 9950 X3D chip for testing, I'm going to go with this. And also, I am going to be using this with probably an RTX 5080, 5019 here at the moment, but I'll probably put that back in my living room gaming PC because I think the extra frame rate really is going to make more sense on my big living room TV rather than on a smaller screen. I've not set up the overhead. Editor Carl is going to be so confused. Oh, is that a little bit loose? Look, why is this moving? Oh dear. High quality motherboard, he says. Every single rig that I've had with an ASUS board has been solid. So just talk amongst yourselves for a second as we pretend that we've got a lovely overhead. You don't need it today. It's definitely nothing to do with the fact that I only had 2 SSDs available and I needed 3. Nothing to do with that at all. But I mean, hey, look, you've watched me install a CPU before. Boom, it's in. Now, in terms of the memory that we're going to use, obviously this is coming out of our existing system, and this is some 7200 megahertz, which obviously is overkill ready for this. It is going to give us a little bit extra performance, but I mean, it's not going to be masses. This is just the kit that I have on hand that is white, and it's also 48 gig because I don't need 64 actually for what I use. I find we get through more GPU memory than RAM memory, but obviously I want it to look good and I want it to match our theme. So it's some Clev Crass 5 RGB. Oh, and then yes, the most extra SSD I have ever installed in anything, and I dare not look up how much this is worth. Samsung sent this one out literally just before everything went to pot really with SSD pricing and of course with RAM pricing. This is an 8 terabyte drive. So this is probably more expensive than most graphics cards, certainly more expensive than the motherboard. 8 terabytes PCI Generation 5, Samsung 9100. Ooh. But I can't say I've ever been really disappointed by a Samsung one, especially their high-end drives. They just tend to work essentially. So yeah, that is wobbly. Yeah, that is wobbly. Going well. I have confidence. They're sturdy things, unlike this VRM. Right, so those components are now good to go, but that of course means we can press on to actually deconstructing this rig here, which means taking out our 5090, boom, and there we go. And you've got to say, even after, a year now, It still blows my mind, the engineering of this thing. It is absolutely ridiculous how they've got something so powerful in such a relatively small size. All of the other 5090s, and we do have another one here, are just so much bigger, and yet I wouldn't necessarily say that they are really in any way better. Oh! Why do you watch me? And this Montec cooler isn't too bad actually, but I have decided that personally speaking, I do like LCDs. I want a little one just so I can assess temperatures and things at a glance. And I'm too hot. Sorry, this was a mistake. Radiator removed. Power supply, I think you can come out too. We're upgrading this because this is an RM850i, and realistically for an RTX 5090 you want 1000 or above. Does mean I have to sadly say goodbye to these nice braided cables though. We will fix that a little bit later. Now we can be out with the old, and then of course in with the new. It's going really well today, isn't it? I mean, that was meant to come off, but not at that precise moment in time. Then I was gonna say, oh dear. Then I was gonna say, we can now get our first glimpse of what our rig is going to look like. And as you can see, I think it looks even better. Fantastic looking motherboard. This is the last time I'm gonna mention it. We'd use hardware info or something. If we're not getting good contact on this VRM at the top, I think it will. I think as soon as it heats up, it gets a little bit more sticky. I think that'll be that. But if not, we can obviously just take that off and put new thermal pads on. So I don't know why it's doing that, but I think that's essentially what the issue would be, but important to monitor it. But yes, you can see that actually I think this looks a whole lot better now. Just a better looking board. Should allow us to do a little bit more overclocking, I think, as well. And obviously it's AMD rather than Intel. As of course is sensible, and as I'm sure you would expect, we are going to do a dry run, or I suppose technically a wet run, here today, because I don't want to do all of the hardline liquid cooling in one go. I want to check our temperatures first and then kind of do a before and after so we can see whether it's actually worth it in the first place. This is the bargain of the century, really. This is from Corsair. This is the Nautilus 360 RS LCD. You can buy this in an RGB version, but actually this one should be absolutely fine because we just kind of want to see what it's going to look like with a little Corsair LCD on it. I do also have to hand, though, some clear tubing so you could kind of get an idea of what this will look like once we start doing the hard line. As I say, I'm probably going to go for white frosted, but clear does actually look quite nice here. It's more about the lines, good, straight, right angles. Last time my bends were lacking. It was too much nitrogen in my blood. Is that funny? I don't even know anymore. Before I forget though, and quick hack, do make sure that if you can, you plug in your CPU connections before you put your radiator in, because it will make your life so much easier. That should just drop in and then slide. Yeah, okay. Fair enough, Haven. You did a good job there.
I don't hate radiators today.
It's actually quite a small LCD on this one. This is one of the downsides of going and cheaping out, if you like, on this particular version. But to be honest with you, you're still getting almost the same product with still very, very good cooling potential. You're just not having to kind of spend loads more money for a couple more inches. Then I believe it's time to pick up our RTX 5090, our gateway to productivity and gaming heaven. There's probably a joke about Unigine in there somewhere. Give me that nice click noise, please. Yes, just about. Which I do believe now means we have a heavier PC, but it's time for just one more component. And as I say, we're upgrading the power supply. This, I think, is going to be a great pick. This is from Corsair. This is the HX1000i, but I like this not only because we have loads of control, it's efficient, it's modular, and it's actually a shift power supply, but also look, because it does have, it's on this side actually, IQ Link bake straight in, so we don't need one of those hubs to do the same job and have extra cables around the back. It's not the end of the world, but definitely is a nice thing to have. So let's just slot this down the bottom there. Then we can easily connect up all of our cables, look, but do make sure that they are in nice and tight because they're so small. Get everything as neat as possible. And then last, but certainly not least, we have our graphics card power. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have the prototype of the PC-centric rig for 2026. Now, obviously this is pretty hideous, which is why we're going to replace it with that tubing. It will give us better performance. We will hopefully go for a thicker radiator as well, just to make sure our temperatures are as good as possible. This being a 16-core 9950X, it does produce quite a lot of heat, so we should actually see a fair benefit with full custom water cooling. I'm a little bit unsure as to whether I actually want to water cool the 5090 because it's already pretty cool as it is, and fundamentally this Founders Edition makes loads and loads of coil whine, which if you then take out the fan noise makes it way, way worse. Like, I've done this twice already and I kind of regretted it in the end. So I'm going to try without and see how we get on. but it will still look awesome. Don't worry, we're not going to ruin the aesthetic by any stretch of the imagination. And then yeah, in terms of cable management, this case is actually great for this, because you've got so many different tie-down points, and so many different channels, look. Everything can be separate, and it really is a very, very quick and easy job. Look, absolutely no effort whatsoever. Everything's nice and tight. I can do a better job, but I can still access, look, all of those cables by the shift power supply. It is a little bit of a shame that for me, this is going to be wasted space. I think this would be a little bit more optimal if we could maybe put some fans or like a pump res or something here, but it's thick, but it's not quite thick enough. So we're going to have to do something different. But right, let's grab ourselves a keyboard and a mouse, and let's not leave you hanging. Let's give this some action, and boom. I'm actually confused, or I've actually worked it out now, why there was basically no RGB. It's because there's no RGB fans. You think pretty much every rig we do has loads of lighting in it. It is literally just the RAM here at the moment. Obviously, if this was a year ago, we might be interested in swapping this out for like Corsair Dominator or something like that. I think it will look a little bit nicer, but as soon as we set that to white, it will all kind of make sense, really. I don't like the tubing, and I don't like the little cable that comes out of that, but we can fix that, and boom, okay. That didn't take very long at all. New CPU installed, ladies and gentlemen. Cut the camera. How has that happened? And where was I? Oh yes, saying that it does look a little bit unusual yet familiar at the same time. I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether I like that combination of having like black fans and white fans in the same system at the same time. I think the art here is going to be kind of combining everything so it looks deliberate rather than just kind of mashed in there, because obviously this graphics card is black, so you are going to have to do like a black and white build. That's why I said maybe if we went for black or frosted tubing, it will kind of integrate a little bit better. As soon as we get the cables to match with white, I think that will look better too. But overall, I still think it's a really nice solid system. It is just that 360 all-in-one, and I guess the wrong color scheme that doesn't quite work. Though to be fair, by the time you're watching this B-roll, I've probably made everything nice and white. But let's quickly make ourselves a silent fan profile, shall we? It's a little bit tricky to get perfect first time, but that's okay, a bit of trial and error. Then we will make sure we've got Expo enabled, and it's worth remembering that this is a 7200 megahertz kit, which, as I say, is completely overkill for this, like 6,000 or less, because obviously it's mainly going to be used for gaming and productivity. So just don't get too bogged down on memory speed, essentially. I will also update the BIOS, I think, just to make sure we get the best and up-to-date results, essentially. But let's jump into a game just to make sure everything works. Oh my word, why does this happen so frequently, man? There's no blooming internet driver for this particular network solution, and so you can't get into your Windows account. It's a joke. I mean, honestly, how ridiculous is this? We've got to install a separate network adapter just so that there's a driver that will work with it. Stupid. You know what? This wasn't supposed to be a rant section. This was supposed to be like, get into the gaming. But oh no, I've been stood here for about 10 minutes just trying to get some RGB on this computer, or to get rid of it, to set it to white. So I install Aura. Oh, you've got to do all of these different processes. Fine, click on it. Oh, you've got to update everything before you can use it. Right, fine. Finally click on it again. Oh, you got to install this library before you can do it. I just want to set my RGBs to white. Why does it take me 15 minutes just to do this, ASUS? It is not good enough. Joke. The following feature libraries have been installed. Now you can run your mission. Just want to set it to white. Here we go. Here we go. Hooray! We did it. Thank you, ASUS. But right, being a little bit more zen, shall we finally get into the games? Because I also needed to preload all of the shaders, so this bit took longer than I thought, but that's okay. This is a long-term project. So okay then, let's have a look. The game I want to use is Black Myth Wukong, as it's obviously very, very intense. Frame gen we'll leave off. Full ray tracing we can set to low. Everything else is set to very high. And I honestly have no idea what the frame rate is going to be, but let's jump in and have a look. And there it is, around about 110, 115 frames a second, which is a really nice little base actually, as obviously if we do want to use some frame gen, then we can obviously make this much, much higher. But anything below like 100 FPS, then personally, I'm not interested in using frame gen because it's a frame smoothing technique really. It's not obviously going to make your game more responsive. We are seeing a little bit of stutter here and there, but to be fair, this is something I have seen in this game on a lot of systems, so I'm not exactly too worried at the moment. Now, in terms of thermals and acoustics, obviously we have just literally fired this up, but it looks like we're going to climb around about 70 degrees on the GPU, and then that CPU is 66 at the moment, but it did get as high as like 85 or so when it was running 100% flat out, and the system is definitely not the absolute quietest that I've ever made. But that is to be expected because obviously it's a less expensive cooler with a very high-end CPU with a lot of cores, which is exactly why I'm obviously going to swap this out for a proper liquid cooling loop, because we can get a lot more liquid inside there, we can just get better temperatures and lower those noise levels. We are definitely hearing a little bit of coil whine from that 5090, which is to be expected, but as I say, that is not something that is going to be fixed by strapping a liquid cooler to this, unfortunately, so I don't really think that necessarily makes too much sense. But yes, looks pretty good and pretty much as expected so far. But right, everyone, in a way that was cheating because that was actually pretty much an entirely GPU-bound title. Let's move on to something that is going to put a lot more stress on the CPU. Now, this is The Last of Us Part 2, and we've got this at, I would say, not really very CPU bottlenecky settings, right? So we're high resolution, this is 4K. We're using DLSS set to quality, so again, a lot of input resolution. This is DLSS 4.5 actually, we're using the override to get here. But as you can see, we are leaving a little bit of performance actually on the table as our GPU utilization is around about 90% or so. Is this going to make that much difference? No, but obviously if you're spending all of this money on a 5090, this is why I would recommend most people would probably go for the 9950X3D. It's obviously around about 100, 150 pounds more, but if you're going for like a 5090, then obviously you want to be able to extract as much out of it as possible, really. But I thought it would be interesting actually just to kind of see firsthand whether bottlenecking is going to affect this system, and indeed it is. If it's something that's really like bothering me, then obviously I would just buy a 9950X3D or probably realistically wait for a 10950X3D and put it inside here. But until I've obviously sat down with this for a couple of weeks of testing with a whole bunch of different games, I don't really know whether it is something that's going to bother me. And I mean, besides, we're still getting 150 to 160 FPS, so it's clearly not going to be a problem. But obviously do bear in mind that this is the limitations, if you like, by not going for an X3D system. And you can see our VRAM is sitting at 50 degrees. So it's jumped up to 55 actually. And now the chipset 37, motherboard 23. So nothing there that would indicate a problem, but I'll go into more depths, as I say, over the next few weeks for a little bit of testing. But this is by no means done. This is like the first draft, if you like, of this system. I'm not entirely happy with the way that it looks at the moment, but as I say, we are nowhere near done. But the fundamentals of the motherboard, the case, maybe the fans, but as I say, there's a lot of stuff we can do, and I just have to ultimately work out what's going to be more important to me, kind of visuals or performance. Spoiler alert, it's going to be performance, but how can we get that looking as good as possible? I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button, and of course, if you do want to check out current pricing on anything in this rig, then you can find it listed down below. But thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next one.